Hey everyone, today I am talking with Dr. Wendy Suzuki. Dr. Wendy is a professor of neuroscience and psychology in the Center for Neuroscience at New York University. She is also the author of Good Anxiety, Harnessing the Power of the Most Misunderstood Emotion. And she also wrote Healthy Brain and Happy Life, a personal program to activate your brain and do everything better. Dr. Wendy is passionate and she knows her stuff. This is a fantastic conversation about how you can build a healthy brain and a happy life. Thanks for listening. Pull up a chair and buckle up. It's the Original Strength BodCast. Dr. Suzuki, you've written Good Anxiety and Healthy Brain, Happy Life.
Yes.
And so most of the listeners on this channel or on the show, we talk about how movement has a healing power to it and how movement can help the body heal. And so in Healthy Brain and Happy Life, you talk about movement and exercise can change the brain for the better.
Yes.
And so can you give us a little bit of background on a Reader's Digest version, maybe on neuroplasticity and how movement can help the brain heal or become better?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, let me just define brain plasticity. Brain plasticity doesn't mean your brain is plastic. It's made out of plastic. It means that the brain has the ability to change its circuitry, to change its actual anatomy, which is one of the reasons why the human brain is the most complex structure known to humankind. And what does that? Our experiences, the outside, how we live our lives. And so that is the idea and the topic that has fascinated me since the very first day of my freshman year at UC Berkeley, when I walked into a classroom and the teacher told me about this. I thought, oh my God, that's the coolest thing in the world. I want to study that. So here I am, 35, almost 40 years later, still studying it. And so I have studied it in many different forms. Memory, our ability to remember. I will remember you, your face, Tim. I've never met you before, but now I will remember you if you come up on another Zoom call, or maybe I'll pass you on the street. I have the capacity to do that. That means that your face and this experience is literally changing my brain right now. And so I studied that for a long time. But more recently, I got fascinated with the ability of physical activity to also change our brain. And it turns out that moving your body can change and enhance the brain's anatomy, physiology, and function. And I wanted to understand how that works. What is the formula? Can we use it as a prescription? What are the biological rules that it uses to have these effects? Now, I don't have all the answers to those questions, but let me give you just a brief Reader's Digest picture of what happens. So let's say I go out and take a nice power walk because I've been sitting in front of this Zoom camera for too long and I just need a walk. I'm walking, my heart starts pumping a little bit. Every single time, not just me, but anybody moves their body, there is a whole set of neurochemicals that gets released in your brain. I like to say that every time you move your body, it's like giving your brain a neurochemical bubble bath of great chemicals that helps it work better. And you've heard of some of these chemicals. They include neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin and noradrenaline, endorphins and kephalins. That the release of those neurochemicals are what makes you say, oh, I feel so much better after that walk. It's not that you're lucky and it just happened to make you feel better, or it's not the fresh air outside, although that doesn't hurt. It is because you have higher levels of dopamine and serotonin and noradrenaline in your brain. Your anxiety levels are coming down. Your depression levels are going up. Your energy levels are going, did I say going down or going up? Anxiety, depression go down. Right. Positive energy goes up. And so that's an immediate effect on your mood. But the other thing that gets released with movement are growth factors. growth factors, in particular one called BDNF, or brain derived neurotrophic factor, is one we know a lot about. It targets the hippocampus, a brain area critical for memory, that topic that I studied for many, many years. And with continued kind of, I think of it as a watering can. Every time you move your body, you're like watering your hippocampus with this watering can of growth factors. You literally grow new brain cells in your hippocampus. Your hippocampus gets big and fat and fluffy. Your memory gets better. Hippocampus is also associated with mood as well. So your mood gets better as well. And that is part of the anatomical and functional effects of exercise. Prefrontal cortex also gets the benefit of exercise as well, which is important for decision-making and focused attention. So the bottom line is moving your body is really, really good for your brain.
Awesome. So, but wait, can you teach an old dog new tricks then?
Yes. All dogs, no matter what age, have the capacity to learn and change. I'm not saying that it's not harder to learn a language, for example, when you are older than when you are 5 years old. There are windows of development that have been shown to be optimal for language, new language learning. But do you absolutely lose the capacity to learn anything new when you're an old dog? Absolutely not. It's there. It may take a little bit more effort. It may take some shifting of the mindset, but the brain retains that capacity to learn over the lifetime.
So you're never stuck then?
Nope, absolutely not.
Right
Not
on.
in the brain's potential. Not in the brain's potential.
That's awesome. And this may sound like a weird question, but I kind of got it from reading Healthy Brain, Healthy Life. Can movement help make you a better person or help you optimize your human potential?
So, I think it can, I feel like it did for me. And it kind of depends on what you do with it. So my story was I was working really, really hard to get tenure at NYU, and I gained 25 pounds and I was miserable. I worked all the time, didn't have any social life to talk about. And I was grumpy and I was scared and I was worried all the time. And I had a wake-up call. I went to on a river rafting trip to Peru, which I thought would cure everything. And it made me realize, oh my God, I'm so weak. Everybody on this trip is stronger than me. And so that was my wake-up call. I after that trip, I hadn't lost the 25 pounds. I had a great time, but I came back home and I joined a gym. And it did change my life in so many different ways. It changed my social life. It's like, oh, new people to gym. I started to make friends, and it just got me out of that working all the time. I felt stronger. I lost the weight eventually. Of course, it didn't happen overnight, but just the fact that I started going to the gym and it felt good every single time that I went. It made me feel like, okay, Wendy, you are helping yourself. You have that capacity to do it. And it ended up changing my whole academic life too, because I got fascinated with the effects that exercise first was having on my own brain, just as a self realization kind of process. But then I thought, this is really fascinating. It has implications for education, for brain, cognitive enhancement, and for improving cognition with aging as well. And I thought, I want to study this. I'm a scientist. I should be able to study anything. It's a little bit harder than that, but I ended up switching my research to study this topic and move away from the physiology of memory, which is what I was studying before.
So the reason I asked you that was because you have it's a beautiful story about how you started exercising and you started thinking about things. You got more curious, but then you started thinking about your relationship that you were having with your parents. And
yes.
And through movement, it somehow brought you to the point where you wanted to have an open dialogue or just be able to say, hey, I love you, mom. I love you,
Yeah.
dad. And I thought that was just an amazing kind of story that kind of stemmed from, your love of discovering movement.
Yeah, it was part of my effort of self-improvement that, never going to end, still doing it today. But, I saw all these positive changes. My mood was better. I felt so much more energetic with exercise. I was making more friends. And, my father at that moment had developed this sudden kind of dementia. And his memory got really bad very quickly. And in fact, I noticed that all the things that were improving in me, my mood, my focus, my memory, they suddenly left him. And I realized, my parents are, everybody should realize this, your parents aren't going to be around all the time. And as a third generation Japanese American, while I knew my parents loved me, we were not in the habit of saying that out loud to each other. So I just, all of that came together, and I had to have this very, very awkward, but very, very important phone conversation, because I was living in New York, they were living in California, where I realized I had to ask permission to say I love you, because it would be too weird just to, I don't think I would have been able to do it, just say it to them without just out of the blue. That literally would have been too hard. So, okay, still awkward, but I could bring myself to ask permission. And so that's one of the stories in that book, Healthy Brain, Happy Life.
And it was a good one. And it was like one of the beginning stories that you could see throughout the book. The more you moved, the more courageous you got.
Yeah.
As time went on, through having crucial conversations that you didn't want to have.
Yeah.
To just, I mean, it was really neat that I to me, it did seem like, man, you caught on fire, and through movement, you just really started to discover who you really were and optimize your potential.
Yeah, absolutely. It really did light a fire underneath me. It changed how I felt every single day because of that neurochemical bubble bath. I was changing my brain. I was changing my baseline level of how I felt, from fear and anxiety and, oh my God, am I going to have a job after this tenure process, to I feel strong. I can do this. And with that mindset, I was able to tackle some of these problems, like, hey, you never say I love you to your parents. Is that okay for you? Do you want to say that? And I was like, yeah, I want to be able to say that. So yeah.
I think one of your superpowers is that you are curious.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, in all your curiosity, have you discovered optimal dose of exercise yet for brain health? Because I know you're working on it.
Yes, I am working on it. And if you listen to my TED Talk on the transformative power of exercise, I teased that, but I really didn't have the answer. But that talk was recorded in 2017, and I can update you and all of your listeners right now.
Sweet.
So what is the kind of, so I always say the most common question people ask me about exercise is, what is the least amount of exercise that I need to do to get all these brain benefits that you keep talking about? And so I have answers for that amount that gets you brain changes when you are low fit, when you're just starting your fitness journey and you're exercising or moving, less than 30 minutes a week. And so we found that for that group of people, which is, a sizable group of people that I love talking to, love motivating, what we found is just 2 to 3 times a week of aerobic exercise, that is simply exercise that increases your heart rate, gets you improved attention function, improved memory function, and improves your positive affect and your motivation to exercise, which is a really, really important one. And so so you might say, well, what exactly did they do? These subjects in this study did a spin class for 45 minutes. I think it was, so we wanted to make it fun and also give them a really good workout. So I think it has to be spin. No, that was the activity in the study. What I do think is important for these effects is that it is aerobic, that you move your body in a way that increases your heart rate. So is that nothing? Is it as easy as taking a pill? No. But is it doable? Can you do 2 to 3 times a week of an activity, whether it be, power walking with your friends, taking your dog for a walk, or dancing, or whatever floats your boat? I think it's doable, and that is what we're seeing causes these brain changes. Now, if you go up to mid-fit people that are already working out 3 times a week, also a great sizable population, first thing to note is that you're already getting brain benefits from that 3 times a week that you're working out. How much more do you need to do to get even more brain benefits? Did you already max out? And the good news is, no, you didn't max out. And there it's like, it's kind of like pay-per-view. The more you work out, the more you get a brain benefit. And we can see these benefits accruing for those in our population that went up to, the real go-getters that went up to 7 times a week. Once a day, they would do these 45-minute workouts. This was also a spin class. We have a lot of wonderful spin collaborators on these studies. But it started to go up incrementally. So if you go from 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, you start to get benefits. So you get your sweat's worth in terms of brain function, which is the message that I want to bring.
What is your favorite form of exercise, given all the things you've done? What do you like to do for yourself the most?
My 2 favorite that I go to, although it changes because I try and do lots of different things. My 2 favorite are, one, the form of exercise that I got trained to teach, which I talked about in the book, called intensati. So inten comes from the word intention. Sati is a word, Pali word that means awareness or mindfulness. I did not invent this. A wonderful fitness instructor named Patricia Moreno did. And what it does is it combines physical movements from kickbox and dance and yoga and martial arts with positive spoken affirmations. So when you're punching back and forth, as you do in kickboxing, my second favorite form of exercise, instead of just punching back and forth, you would say something like, I am strong now. And you can't see me, I know, but I'm punching back and forth with each word. And every move has a different affirmation. And so you string it together in this series of positive things that you declare during class with a whole bunch of other sweaty affirmation spouting people in your class. I love that class. I felt so good every single time I went to that class. I feel so good every single time I get to teach that class. I taught a free Intensati class for almost 7 years at NYU. And I loved every single class that I taught. But now I'm learning how to love weights more. Never used to like weights. I am really getting into cardio weights workouts because it feels so good, and I feel like my muscles are screaming like, give us a little bit more to do, Wendy, especially upper body muscles. So I'm really enjoying cardio weights classes these days.
I was just curious because the book ended in 2015, and it's been a little bit of time since then. So I was just wondering if Intensati was still something you enjoyed.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Do you mind if I switch gears on you a little bit?
No, not at all.
How in the world can anxiety be good?
Yeah. So that, I think, is the question many people who see the title of my book, Good Anxiety, ask themselves. And I say anxiety is good because from an evolutionary perspective, anxiety and that underlying physiological stress response evolved in us over the last 2.5 million years in us humans to protect us. The emotion of anxiety is actually critical for our survival. Now, it makes most sense when you think back 2.5 million years, when the major dangers in our worlds as humans was, physical dangers from those lions and tigers and bears and creatures back 2.5 million years ago that were out to eat us and kill us. And so every crack of the twig could be life-threatening. So it's good that twig cracking led to the emotion of anxiety and got us ready to either fight or run away. That activated our fight or flight response. Today, we don't have that many lions and tigers and bears after us, but the way this system evolved is that all those things that are potential, even existential threats, global warming, a report on global warming, a report on guns, on a report on racial tensions, not to mention the coronavirus and how many deaths there were just today. All of that activates that same anxiety and stress response. And too much of a good thing, even a really good thing, is bad. And all of us as a society and as a world, the volume on our collective anxiety levels is simply turned up way too high, which is why nobody feels like their anxiety is good. It feels bad. And which is why I spent so much of the book talking about how to turn the volume down, how to use science and neuroscience in particular to learn how to turn the volume down on your anxiety to get it back into this helpful, this protective zone that it was meant to be.
Do you have any, for the listener, a simple thing they can do in their day-to-day life to help turn their volume down just a smidge?
Absolutely. And so here's my go-to. It is a breathing technique called boxed breathing. But before I tell you what it is, I want to tell you why it works, because it's very important to understand that it works because this breathing technique, just slow, deep breaths, is activating your natural de-stressing part of your nervous system. Now, did you know that everybody, you and me and everybody else, has a natural de-stressing part of your nervous system? We all do. It is the part of the nervous system that is equal and opposite to fight or flight, and it's called the parasympathetic nervous system, or the rest and digest nervous system. I don't know. I think the publicity agents for the fight or flight part of the nervous system work way harder than the publicity agents for the rest and digest part of the nervous system, because not nearly as many people know about the latter. And so what it does is, when it's activated, it slows down your heart rate, it slows down your respiration, and it shunts blood from your muscles, where the fight or flight shunted the blood so you can run away or fight, and it shunts it back to your digestion and reproductive organs so you can enjoy weekend activities, you can enjoy that Sunday brunch, you can leisurely digest your meals. And so I've given you the clue for why deep breathing is good. It's the only part of that list that you have conscious control over. I can't say, ooh, slow heart rate, slow down right now. Blood, go into my stomach right now. But I can consciously control my breath. And so my go-to is a boxed breathing, which goes like this. And you could all try it right now, just one round. Okay, so just follow my direction. Everybody inhale, 3, 2, 1, hold at the top, 3, 2, 1, big exhale, 3, 2, 1, hold at the bottom, 3, 2, 1. That is just a single round. Every single time I lead it, I feel calmer at the end. It's something that you could practice. Don't try and do it the first time in the middle of a panic attack, but do it, get familiar with it. It's easy to remember. It doesn't require you. A lot of these that I've have to do in yoga classes are like 8 counts and I'm I'm losing my breath. I love the 4 count. It's in the form of a box. Everything is in four corners, 4 counts. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold, easy to remember. And it does work wonders to immediately calm yourself down. So that's my go-to.
Thank you very much. That was awesome. How do you turn worry into a to-do list?
So now you've gotten to my favorite part of good anxiety. I think of this as a special sauce of the book, which is once you learn how to turn the volume down in your anxiety, it opens up the door to appreciation of a whole set of gifts or superpowers that come from your anxiety. And one of them is the gift or superpower of productivity. And it works this way. Very, very common form of anxiety is the what if list. What if that happens? What if I didn't do this? What if I did do it, but I did it wrong? And often many people have this form of anxiety. For me, it hits me right before I'm going to go to sleep. And, sleep is coming. It's going to feel so good. And bing, it's like, oh no, all these what ifs. And so the trick is first realizing that those what ifs are reflecting what is going on in your life, things that you are concerned about, things that you want to make sure go right. It's a warning system, as it should be, as anxiety is. And so to take advantage of that and kind of do that jujitsu karate chop move on that form of anxiety, what you do is simply turn that what if list into a to-do list. So what if this happens? Okay, well, I'm going to ask this person, I'm going to write this email, and I'm going to address it in one or more different ways. And what I do, and I can tell you this from personal experience, I still have those what if lists that wake me up right before I'm going to go to sleep. But now I'm in the habit. I say, okay, I'm going to take care of it first thing tomorrow, and I'm going to turn it into my to-do list. And not only that, I'm going to do the to-do list. And that brings me so much comfort. And you know what? It makes me more productive. And it has an origin in, again, this evolution of anxiety. That anxiety evolved to have an action put on it, fight or move away. It is a physical action. So by doing a to-do list and physically checking it off when you actually do it, you can help to bring kind of psychological closure to this anxiety in the same way that it kind of evolved in us since early times.
One more question.
Well,
yeah. Almost done. I lied. It's not one more, but
okay.
What is brain body?
Oh, so Brain Body is a platform that I have developed to quantify the effects of physical activity on just a single workout. You can do these tasks that I found in my work and from the literature, the science literature, that are sensitive to the effects of exercise. Short tasks, I shortened them, I made them more sensitive. You can do it before and after your workout and show, oh my God, this workout, my spin workout, did this to my brain, and compare and contrast to a power walk that did that to my brain. So I've actually since pivoted, as we often do in the startup world. I always like using that. It makes me feel like a startup person if I can use the word pivoted. So I pivoted, particularly in the pandemic and particularly with the success and interest in good anxiety, to start to quantify the effects of not just exercise, but various interventions, including breath work, yoga, meditation, on mood levels that I was quantifying with this Brain Body platform, and trying to bring it to help measure and evaluate effectiveness for anxiety levels, which, as we all know, are going up incredibly high across the globe.
That seems to be the season we're in. Yes.
Yes.
So if somebody wants to learn from you, they want to read your wonderful books, or they want to check out Brain Body or this new pivot that you're creating, where can they go?
The best place to go is my core website, wendysuzuki.com. There you can learn about all of my books. It has links to what Brain Body is becoming, and all of my class, academic and classes. If you want to read about all the classes that I teach, it's there. All of my links to all the great interviews and podcasts like this one are also there as well.
Awesome. That will be in the notes of this show.
Great.
Dr. Suzuki, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. Thank you for sharing your time with us.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great weekend.